AEW Dynamite kicks off with great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as the Young Bucks go on to defeat the Hybrid 2 in 17 minutes 36 after Matt Jackson pins Angelico with a Meltzer driver. Angelico was the weak link, unfortunately, the submission specialist, as they like to call him at the moment. He struggled to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance. Jack Evans was great with a 61, but of course, Nick and Matt, brilliant with 93s. And it's so good seeing this, keeping up with the tradition of having AEW start strong with a great match. And it did get the crowd buzzing this as it got 72. Unfortunately, though, Jack Evans sustained a broken heel bone in this match, so he may be out for some time. We will have to wait and see. Hopefully it's not too long, because I do want to do a little bit more with the Hybrid 2. I feel as though they're very underrated, not just in real life, but also in this save as well. So we're moving away from what happened with the Dark Order. We're just going to forget what happened there and just crack on with the Hybrid 2. Anyway, after the match, Tully Blanchard walks out with a mic in hand, and he's there alongside Dax and Cash. Listen up, Bucks. You may think you're back on the tag team scene after beating those two punks, but you need to understand where your place is in the line, and at the moment, it's at the back. We're next in line. We get the next title shot. We've beaten everyone. It's only fair. After all, FTR are the greatest tag team today, and we're announcing now. Tully gets interrupted by VE Nation's theme music. Ross Von Erich and Marshall Von Erich walk out with Kevin Von Erich. They stand facing FTR at the top of the entranceway, and Kevin has a mic also, and he goes on to say, "You say you've beaten everyone there is here in AEW. Well, not my boys. How about in 2 weeks, a Bash at the Beach, a classic pay-per-view for a classic showdown, FTR versus the Von Erichs." There is a bit of discussion between FTR and Tully replies, "We'll get back to you," as they leave. The Von Erichs watch them go, and from behind, Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. attack. The Young Bucks then race them off. So we get 57 for this segment. FTR have been challenged by the Von Erichs, a team that FTR have not beaten yet in AEW. We're going to see how that one pans out. So Dynamite by No One Hero is playing as Pyro erupts from the stage. Happy New Year everyone, and welcome to the first AEW Dynamite of 2021. We're a week removed from the trip to the UK, and it doesn't stop there, because in 2 weeks' time we have the Bash at the Beach to look forward to. We certainly do, JR, because last week Toni Storm said she'd be willing to put her title on the line tonight if she successfully defended it in the UK, which she did. So I wonder who will step up tonight. How about the shock of Orange Cassidy beating Pac on Saturday for the TNT Championship? Pac is not a happy guy at the moment, and Cassidy, well, he's going to be celebrating tonight. We also have a new number one contender for Jon Moxley's world title in Hangman Adam Page. I'm sure we'll find out tonight when Page will face Mox, but before we do, we've got to go backstage right now as Chris Jericho is about to confront Tony Khan. So we get a 58 here as we are live in front of 9,286 people at the Giant Center. So let's have a look at tonight's card then. We will have Maxwell Jacob Friedman in action. Also, Toni Storm puts her AEW Women's Championship on the line against an opponent that hasn't been named yet. We'll also have the celebrations for Orange Cassidy's win after overcoming Pac for the TNT title. And tonight's main event, the AEW Championship, is on the line. Jon Moxley against Darby Allin. Chris Jericho is seen walking into Tony Khan's office. The door is left ajar as we hear, "Not only did I leave Saturday stinking of poorly made, cheap crafted British beer, but I still have the expense of fixing my Painmaker Phantom. Someone's got to pay Tony. It's clearly not going to be Darby Allin now. So I'm looking at you. Khan could be heard replying, Chris, AEW were never liable for your plane. That was always your responsibility. I'm sorry. If you want money, you're going to have to earn it. How about you start tonight? Tonight? I've barely had time to recover from Saturday. It's up to you, Chris. You need to pay for the damage, not me. Fine. What do you have in mind? I have a few ideas, but I know you've had heat with the Dark Order lately, so why don't we finally get Jericho versus Brody Lee for our second match tonight? You gotta be kidding me. Chris Jericho, Le Champion, storms out without answering. So we're going to be getting Jericho versus Brody Lee, a pay-per-view worthy match here on Dynamite tonight. We get a segment rating of 85. It was just with Jericho. We never got to see Tony Khan. We just heard him, similar to what happened with Mox that time when he went into the his room, his dressing room. So moving on, our second match of the night saw MJF defeat Matt Sydal in 13:32 after a double cross. Wardlow did interfere in this match, putting Sydal off. My idea was have Sydal going up to the top for his shooting star press. Wardlow pushing him off as MJF distracted the referee, which allowed MJF to get in for the double cross. So it's a decent match anyway. It gets a 59. Let's have a look at Matt Sydal, penalised for trying to go all out. He's penalised as well for his stamina. He is now officially a part of this AEW roster on a exclusive. So I do have plans for Sydal, and I can't wait to share them. Anyway, after winning, MJF asks for a mic. Thank you. Now, I'd appreciate it if you'd all just shut your mouths for a moment and let me speak. Now, I'm hearing a lot of talk that MJF doesn't have what it takes anymore. MJF couldn't beat Moxley. MJF couldn't win a Battle Royale. Well, guess what? I'm still the fastest rising star in all of pro wrestling, and will be for many years to come. And let's be honest, I was clearly better than Moxley back at Full Gear. I mean, he had to cheat to win, thanks to a fistful of trunks. And if it wasn't for all these factions and teams, I'd have won that Battle Royale Saturday. Hey, maybe it's time I join one. Anyway, right now, I'm going to leave no doubt in any of your minds why I'm better than everyone backstage. This is the year of Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He drops the mic and exits. He gets a segment rating of 71 for this promo. As we move in to our next match after the break between Toni Storm and the debutante Thunder Rosa. In about that, had decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Toni Storm does defeat Thunder Rosa in 8 minutes 47 with a roll-up. Toni Storm makes defense number 2 of her women's championship title. Really good to see this gets a 49, but it was Toni Storm that led the way in terms of in-ring performance. Thunder Rosa certainly has a lot of potential. We know in real life how good she really is, so I'm going to be working on that in the next couple of months. I do have big plans for Thunder Rosa. I think she's a fantastic talent. We did have Arn Anderson taking control of this as the road agent, but a pretty vocal crowd again on the back of Toni Storm. Really weird to see, and as planned, this match did bring down the crowd slightly. Toni Storm exits the ring with her title that she has only just managed to defend. Thunder Rosa stands in the ring looking at Storm and saying, "I was this close." Using her thumb and finger, we know that Toni Storm had to resort to a quick roll-up to defeat Thunder Rosa. She struggled in this match. That was my idea, what I was thinking, what I was planning for this tag match. Toni Storm maybe feeling the strain a bit, having some of the new talent being added to this women's division under the Brandy Rhodes' Women's Division Initiative. As that gets a 52. As we roll into our next segment, Jon Moxley, who puts his title on the line in the main event tonight against Darby Allin, is walking backstage with his usual swagger. He sees DDP and goes to talk, but Lance Archer comes out of nowhere. Mox moves out of the way as Archer continues and barges into DDP, taking him out. Mox and Archer battle backstage then. It's brutal. It's hard hitting. Matt Hardy comes to aid Mox. Archer says, "This ain't over, Mox. Once I'm done with Hardy here tonight, I'm coming for you and that title. Hardy responds, you want me tonight? In the ring, big man? How about we make that a 2-on-1? I got just the guy that'll help me put you down. Archer responds, bring it. It doesn't matter who you have. Everybody dies. He walks off as Matt Hardy checks on Jon Moxley. We get a 66 for this. I was hoping for a bit more, having the AEW champion Jon Moxley included, but it is what it is. I'm happy with that sort of segment rate, and it's still advancing the storyline that I'm trying to tell with Matt Hardy and Lance Archer, having the AEW champion involved. Lance Archer did have plans to win that Battle Royale over in the UK, but it just wasn't to be. Anyway, up next, the ring is decorated with orange-coloured canvas, orange balloons. As Orange Cassidy's music hits, he walks out slowly with the TNT Championship just perched on his shoulder. He's not even touching it, it's just perched there, like he couldn't give a shit about it. He rolls into the ring, stands in the middle to a huge pop from the crowd. Then after a moment, he puts his thumb up and leaves. That's it. That's the Orange Cassidy TNT Championship celebration. All that effort, dressing the ring up with orange balloons, orange canvas. You can just imagine, and just for Orange Cassidy to come along, put his thumb up, roll out the ring and leave. There we go. It's just Orange Cassidy. It's his character, I think. I think we've done well with this segment, getting a 67 out of it. I just can't wait to continue this story with Orange Cassidy. Up next, we get a little vignette, a little promo. After it was announced over in the UK that Miro is now All Elite, we get a promo that Miro is coming, and we see a countdown of how many days left. Just 17. Finally we're down to just 17 days after he's been out so long with injury. Anyway, we move on to our next segment. Judas plays What Have I Become as Jericho walks out at the top of the entranceway. Before he makes it to the ramp, Evil Uno, who has returned after getting speared through the entranceway, and Stu Grayson attack him from behind. Brody Lee follows behind watching, appreciating the work of Uno and Grayson as they continue to beat down Le Champion Chris Jericho. They roll him into the ring, Evil and Stu kicking and punching. Sammy Guevara then runs out, but as soon as he gets into the ring, the numbers game takes over. Brody hits a discus clothesline. Jeff Cobb's music hits as he pounds his way to the ring. The Dark Order exit before he lays hands on them. As the Dark Order stand on the ramp, we hear the voices of Santana and Ortiz. Hey Brody, Exalted One, you forgetting your boys, Reynolds and Silver? The camera turns to Reynolds and Silver laid out and bloody. Brody is pissed. The war is about to begin between the Inner Circle and the Dark Order. So we get 56 for this segment. The angle getting the crowd hotter. Stu Grayson was very underwhelming. Didn't really have much to do. Obviously helping Evil Uno out to attack Chris Jericho. But we're not going to get Jericho versus Brody now after this beatdown. As I say, the war is just about to begin. There's plenty more to tell between the Inner Circle and the Dark Order. Our next segment is just a quick little promo. Hyping Bash at the Beach, which is in 2 weeks' time. It will feature all the main stars such as Moxley, Darby Allin, Pac, Jericho, Cody and Kenny. Don't miss it. It's just a cheap little plug there to get a segment rating of 75. We get 75 for this. Sometimes we can get to an 80, but there we have it. Next Saturday, I'm not sure why I put 2 weeks, but next Saturday it will be AEW Bash at the Beach. So we've got one more Dynamite to go before Bash at the Beach. Should be good. As we then roll into our next segment, one I'm really happy with. Lance Archer waits in the ring, pacing back and forth for his 2-on-1 match with Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy's music hits, he steps out the top of the entranceway. He looks excited ahead of this 2-on-1. He stops, takes a deep breath, and faces towards the entranceway. As No More Words plays, and out comes his brother, the charismatic one, Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy here in AEW. The Hardys reunited and are set to take on Lance Archer in a 2-on-1 handicap match here on Dynamite. And this plays into the tradition of after a pay-per-view, the show after a pay-per-view, you have a debut of someone big maybe, and in this case, it's Jeff Hardy. And in a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Matt and Jeff Hardy, the Hardy Boys, defeated Lance Archer in a handicap match after 10 minutes 29. It was Jeff Hardy that got the pin after a twist of hate on Lance Archer. Jeff Hardy carried the match in terms of in-ring performance. He picks up a 68 here. Lance Archer with a 53, Matt Hardy a 50. Pretty consistent, I suppose. We know all three, they've got that declining physical ability. So we're going to have to watch out for that and give them matches the right time, right place sort of thing. Jeff Hardy was penalised for holding back. Not a bad debut, really, here on AEW. So we can go quite a lot of routes here now with Jeff Hardy. We can maybe give him a singles run, tag team run with his brother, Matt Hardy. We'll just have to wait and see how this plays out with Lance Archer. It's definitely not over, though, between these three, these two, however you want to look at it. Anyway, up next, Brody King stands in between Luke Gallows and Cole Anderson in a dark room and says, Saturday the Elite, they got to ride off into the sunset, or so they thought. Little do they know, there is more waiting around the corner ready to ambush them. We are far from finished. We may be weak in numbers now, but that won't last forever. You will fear us. They walk off with a 66 segment rating. Brody King clearly enjoyed having the freedom going off script. Luke Gallows did a masterful job. Cole Anderson improved well as well throughout the segment, and he's getting better at his gimmick also. It's good to see Luke Gallows getting a positive there as well, because when we first brought him in, well, the crowd weren't too happy seeing Luke Gallows for some reason. But there is more to come from Villain Enterprises after losing Marty Scurll. Hangman Page comes to the ring dressed casually. Jeans, boots, cowboy belt buckle and shirt and a glass of fine whiskey. He joins the commentary team ahead of the main event tonight between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin for the AEW World Championship. So the number one contender, Hangman Adam Page, is in attendance. He is sat there. He is keeping a close eye on the world champion, maybe scouting ahead to when their match is going to take place. So that gets to 73 as we are about to head into our main event then. Hopefully it's a good one. I'm sure it will, because Darby Allin is on a high at the moment, and it is. It gets an 80. It's an exceptional match, which sees Jon Moxley defeat Darby Allin in just under 19 minutes, just under 20 minutes. And Moxley makes defense number 4 of the AEW World Championship title. Mox with a 92. Darby Allin gets a 79 in-ring performance. He has improved massively since the start of this TEW 2020 save, and the match got the crowd buzzing. Let's have a look at the dirt sheet. Everything is just a bonus here at the moment. If we keep on scrolling, Moxley was penalised for stamina. Same for Darby Allin as well. Odd face heel combination. I'm not too worried about that because AEW are quite loose on that, as we know. But an 80 is a fantastic segment rating to be getting for your main event. It's one of the better matches here in AEW. As we move into our final segment of the show, Jon Moxley raises his AEW World title above his head. Darby Allin sits in the corner watching, then eventually gets to his feet. It looks like he may attack Mox from behind, but Mox turns around just in time. They look at one another. Mox puts his hand out and Darby goes to shake, but from behind, Pac attacks Darby. Mox and Pac then go at it, trading fists, as up on the entranceway, the next number one contender, Hangman Page, watches on. Mox gets the upper hand, and Pac eventually rolls out of the ring. Mox helps Darby to his feet as Pac retreats up the ramp, watching Mox. Hangman puts his drink down. When Pac turns around, Hangman hits him with a big boot, laying him out, and then saying, "I haven't forgot." Hangman picks his drink up, and holds it out towards Mox and his title, nods, and then walks off as this week's edition of AEW Dynamite concludes. A huge 87 rating there for this segment, getting the crowd pumped as we are looking at the AEW World title picture here. So Pac dropped his TNT title to Orange Cassidy on the weekend over in the UK, and it seems as though he wants to be in the AEW World title picture. A place, in my opinion, he deserves to be. So we're just going to have to, you guys are just going to have to stay tuned to see where else we take this. But a great way to end the show. Let's see then how we've done overall. Ooh, a 78. That's fantastic. A great show this week. The first week of the new year. Great way to kick off the new year, that. As the show increased our popularity in 13 regions. And our growth is being restricted in 2 American and 3 Canadian regions. Which is a shame. I can't even renew or look for a new broadcaster because ITV4 dropped us over in the UK just before the end of last year. So we're probably going to have to wait a year. We're going to have to sit this one out for a year with broadcasters at the moment. We're going to be seeing that for a while. We're going to be sticking with TNT and Fight TV as well. TSN2 for Canada. We're just going to have to stick with them for a year. Just fight through it and keep on doing what we're doing. At the moment, our quality of shows have been great, and we've just got to focus on that and not so much on the broadcasters. So for this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, we got a 78. We had 9,000 in attendance. We scored a 1.64 TV rating with a total of 1.2 mil tuning in. We had 890,000 on TNT. Over in Canada, we had 343,000 tuning in. So that's just our 2 broadcasters at the moment for Dynamite, TNT and TSN2. No more ITV4. So disappointing. And looking at NXT this week, they scored a 73, so we smashed them in overall show quality, but they smashed us in overall ratings. They scored a 1.94, and they had a total of 1.5 million viewers. So we're not too far behind them still. But as I say, we've just got to focus on making sure we're doing what we're doing still, putting on quality show after quality show, and beating them when it comes to show rating week in, week out, and not focus, not worry so much about TV rating at the moment. Anyway, that's it for this edition of AEW Dynamite. Thanks for watching.